I am Marco Respinti. I'm a professional journalist, and I live and work in Milan, Italy. Uh, Among my writing and reporting, there is attention on human rights violation all over the world and religious liberty trespasses. The Tai Ji Men case is a very relevant one because I think it shows the way in which the state can misuse and even abuse its power. The power of the state should be the ability to protect and defend individuals and groups, especially the most feeble among them. But in this case, it turns out that the state did just the contrary. In the Tai Ji Men case, the power has been used, the power of the state has been used to discriminate against individuals and a group. When justice was returned to Tai Ji Men in criminal court, the ordeal of this group didn't finish because, in fact, tax offices continue to haunt Tai Ji Men with invalid tax demands. When there is a dispute between a group or individuals and the state, the benefit of the doubt should go always to the people, and resolution in courts should always favor the people when no clear evidences can support accusation, in this case by the state. But the Tai Ji Men case shows that a group has been suffering from this kind of persecution, administrative, fiscal persecution, for 24 years, with a clearly denial of justice and, in fact, the rule of law. The power of the state also in court, should be strictly defined by the process of law upholding justice. But in the Tai Ji Men case, government officials have violated the due process of law in many ways. Let me just recall a few of them. Tax demands derived from unlawful bill of indictment with tax office's due investigation is a violation of the process of law. Fact recognition by criminal court and Ministry of Education rejected and replaced by arbitrary recognition of tax office is violation of the process of law. Backdate of documents and forgery of survey results is a violation of the process of law. Inconsistent application of law is a violation of the process of law. Discriminatory treatment against Tai Ji Men is a violation of the process of law. As anyone can see, Tai Ji Men suffered injustice. What does this mean? It means that taxpayers' rights are not well protected within the system, and that the system itself systematically turns against taxpayers. This is a clear injustice that no group, no individual should ever suffer. Now, there is a problem, of course, in the Tai Ji Men case, on the side of Tai Ji Men, to uphold their case, because Tai Ji Men, I think, suffer some problems in defending itself, because, for example, being located and active in Taiwan, we all know that Taiwan is not a member state of the UN, so it doesn't have the same protection as other countries. And there is nothing like an Asian court of law for human rights as we do have, for example, in Europe. So this is aggravating the situation of Tai Ji Men. There are treaties, international treaties by the UN like the ICCC-PR and ICES-CR, or the Paris, the so-called Paris Principle, that calls and allow for protections of groups and individuals from governments and by governments all over the world. But this is not the case. That cannot be the case of the Tai Ji Men, just because Taiwan is not a member state of the UN. So I think that while this case, the Tai Ji Men case, calls for a whole reconsideration of the whole question of Taiwan and the UN, but I leave that to international politics to solve. I don't want to enter directly into this, but I want to have this in the background of our listeners. While this problem should be addressed, I think that there is that the fact that Taiwan is not a member state of the UN, while formally could be a problem, it should not be substantially a problem. We cannot allow people to think that the UN discriminate between people who are represented as nation states within its organization and people who are not represented in the same way. We cannot think that rules and principles and international agreements that are valid for many nations which subscribe to those declarations and statements are not equally valid for people who are forgotten outside this international community. Should we think that people living in Taiwan, and especially people and groups like the Tai Ji Men who suffer injustice, are not hold dear to the UN personnel and organization? Should we think that there are two kinds of people, the one who can be protected by the UN and the other one who cannot be protected by the UN just because of some international political rule? I don't want to think that, and I'm sure many people and all good common sense people don't want to think that. I think, and I leave it to politicians because I'm just a reporter, I'm a journalist and I report on this fact. I think that the politician at international level, within and without the UN, should immediately try and find a way to address this problem. How can we protect people in Taiwan, and especially a suffering group like Tai Ji Men, who are not within this circle? How can we protect them and put them under provision of law? They should address this immediately, as soon as possible, because Tai Ji Men has suffered 24 years of injustice, and we don't want that Tai Ji Men and people like them should suffer again in the future for the lack of reasoning or for a lack of attention by the international organization like the UN.